Hello, still Untitled listeners.
The podcast is starting in just a moment. We talk about really exciting stuff. I'm very excited, and you should be as well. But we need your help.
There's nothing that excites you more than filling out a good survey, is there, Norm?
A great survey.
This one will take less than 5 minutes. It's short. It helps Still Untitled a ton. And you can do it by going to podsurvey.com/untitled.
It'll take less than 5 minutes, and you'll also be entered to enter in a raffle to win a $100 gift card from Amazon.
It's an ongoing raffle. They'll need to collect your email address. They're only going to use it if you win the raffle. So you don't have to worry about it being sold to Russian spammers or Chinese militants or anything bad. Nothing bad's going to happen to your email address. It'll be perfectly safe, and you'll only see it used if you win the raffle. So the address again is podsurvey.com/untitled. I think that's it.
Back to the cave.
Say something funny so we can start the show. Welcome to Still Untitled, the Adam Savage Project. I'm Will.
I'm Adam.
I'm Norm.
I'm Kevin Kelly.
We have Kevin Kelly here. It's an amazingly special guest.
Totally awesome.
Kevin was one of the founding editors of Wired, worked on, I'm completely losing my mind here.
Well, I was actually involved in starting the Well, which was the first public access to the internet. I did the First Hackers Conference, which brought together 3 generations of hackers. I did the Virtual Reality Jamboree, we call it Cyberthon, which was the first public access to VR in '89.
So wait, you helped birth the first trolls.
Exactly. I was there for the first flame.
Wow.
The all-father of trolls.
Wow.
Yes.
So I have an awesome Kevin Kelly story.
Okay.
A few years ago, I'm at well, I have 2, but the main one is I'm at this event that IDEO does called Quickies. Where people get up and talk about stuff that they're working on. I know.
Okay, that's not what I was expecting.
And
okay.
After the quickie, I'm talking to a writer who writes for Wired, and we're just shooting the breeze. And I talked about something being open source, and he goes, "Yeah, that whole open source thing, I just don't think it scales." And I was like, "Are you kidding me? You don't think it scales?" "Yeah, I just don't see it." And I turned to my right, and there was Kevin Kelly talking to someone else. And I said, "Kevin, come here. This guy doesn't think open source scales." And you just started talking to him about it. That was my Woody Allen, Marshall McLuhan moment. I got to actually get the main advocate for open source and turn him on the writer. But then the other thing that happened at that very same event was I gave a 10-minute talk about building the Maltese Falcon, and Kevin is the one who came up to me and said, "That is a lovely talk. You could refine that and turn that into a nice little thing," and that became my first TED Talk.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it was, I think you were very experienced being on television, but I don't think you'd given a lot of talks until that point.
And it hadn't even occurred to me to do one more than once or to workshop it or refine it.
Exactly.
And that was a lovely opening up for me in terms of a whole new way of looking at things.
So you spoke at XO earlier this year.
That's right.
And talked kind of about the future, I think if I had to guess, if I had to encompass everything into one gap, you talked a little bit about travels, and then you talked about cool tools a lot, which we've had on the site before. I think everybody here is a fan of what you've done with this book.
We bought 2 cases of these from Kevin last year and gave them away to everyone for Christmas.
Oh, that's awesome.
So one of the things I did and talked about at XO was this self-published entity. It was a physical book. It weighs 5 pounds. It has a lot of atoms in it. It's very big and oversized. It's a book that lists the coolest recommendable tools that I and the readers of the website for the past 12 years know about. And the experience of self-publishing it is a pretty cool thing because I was just 2 people, and I made a book that was very similar to something that was made a long time ago called the Whole-Earth Catalog, which I did work on eventually and publish, which is a same thing. It's kind of like an encyclopedia of user-recommended cool stuff. And it was made with the state-of-the-art technology at that time, which was newsprint, really cheap, Polaroids, IBM Selectric typewriting for the text. But it took 30 people a year to make one of them. And I and my assistant basically made the same book in color with two people. That is the power of technology.
Yeah.
That's what is now possible. That's what all the stuff that we're excited by is allowing individuals to accomplish a lot more with fewer barriers.
We do that right here, right? If you look at this 20 years ago, this would have been a room in a special building, a special room in a special building with at least one and probably two people on the other side, more if we were actually doing real video.
Right.
And yeah, everything, and this is $1,000, maybe $1,200 worth of gear.
Exactly.
And it's a little bit overkill for what we do.
So that amplification, which is what this digital technology brings, is really very powerful, particularly for individuals or small groups. And that's what allowed me to self-publish this book, which was has about 1,500 different tools, and each one of them is a positive review. So these are recommendations. There are 1,500 recommendations of something that would allow you to leverage and accomplish something. So these are things that allow you to make things and to make things happen. That's how my definition is.
Is it from one time period or from the whole 10 years?
This is for the whole 10 years. This is the best of.
It's also one of the things I find so amazing about perusing this book is that there are solutions to problems I didn't know existed that can potentially solve problems I didn't know could be solved with a tool.
That's exactly right. I subtitle it a catalog of possibilities because I'm not into trying, and you open up this book, you go through, you say, oh, I want this, I want that, this is so cool. Well, I don't think you need to buy all this stuff. This is not a book to promote consumerism. This is a book to show you that these are possibilities, that these exist, that you can rent a bulldozer. People don't know that. You can rent a bulldozer.
You totally can. They just drop it off and throw you the keys.
Right.
They don't even tell you how to use it. They're just like, good luck. See you in 2 days.
But I'm really big into renting tools. So you can rent, a wet saw. You can rent a ditch witch. You can rent a hole auger. Just knowing that suddenly opens up all kinds of things that you didn't even think were possible before. And just seeing a tool that, here's a tool that makes a small hole bigger. That's almost metaphorical. That's almost like profound.
Well,
right.
I like the ones that make the big hole smaller. That's tricky.
It's a little harder. I mean, I think so. I discovered that you could rent jackhammers and stuff like that when I was in college, and I had this house, and it had concrete in places that I didn't want there to be concrete anymore. So I rented a jackhammer. It was both the best and one of the worst weekends of my life because I realized really quickly that jackhammering concrete is unbelievably hard work.
Yeah.
And then B, getting rid of the jackhammered up concrete is a much harder problem than jackhammering up the concrete. So I had to go rent a truck after I rented the jackhammer, and then it was
hilarious.
Yeah.
Totally like that.
Yeah. So this idea that tools are kind of handle at one end and opportunity at the other, I think is the main message of this book, Cool Tools, which is it's aimed at young people, really, to open up and say, hey, there's so much more possibilities in the world than you think there are, and that the college is even going to tell you. And here's a thing that shows you how you can run for public office and win, or here's how to
build a treehouse.
Build a treehouse.
Yeah.
Or here's how to build your own home.
Right.
Which is a very powerful idea. I mean, even if you build a little shack, I can't tell you how influential that would be in your life if you actually try and construct your own structure, shelter.
Agreed.
It's liberating because you realize that you can make an alternative to having a big house and a mortgage if you needed to, and that kind of confidence allows you to do all kinds of things that you would never attempt before.
Well, and so, like the Whole Earth catalog was a fixture at one of my grandmother's houses. It was there with Campmore and Foxfire books and all that stuff. She was kind of a 50-year-old hippie in the late 60s. And she, it was one of the books on the back of the toilet in the downstairs bathroom. And you would just take it out and kind of flip through, and you'd learn about all sorts of novel things that you probably didn't know existed. I think you captured that really well with this.
Right.
It reminds me a lot of that.
So for my own history, when I was in high school and graduating from high school, I discovered the Whole Earth catalog for the first time. That was when it was coming out in 68, 69, 1968, 1969. And I got the message from the Whole Earth catalog that I didn't need to go to college. and I could invent my own life.
Wow.
That's
a hell of a thing to extrapolate.
yes. And that's set me on my course. It's like, no, you can invent your life. You don't need to go to college. You don't need to work for a corporation. There is this other parallel universe where you can make it up and do your own stuff. And I'm hoping to some extent that that's part of this message of this book, is that people will say, oh my gosh, I can hire people. I can hire freelancers to help me do anything I want on Elance. It's like, it's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
I do that all the time now for everything.
You said at XO, and I think that you copy edited the whole book in like
48 hours.
Yeah.
What?
This is like, I don't know, 500,000 words or something or more. We copied it in 48 hours because we distributed it to a number of different freelancers who are around the world working, on different time zones. And they copied the entire book in 48 hours, two cycles.
Wow.
And that's the power. It's not so much that it's cheaper, because it is cheaper, but it's faster. Mm-hmm. It's speed that you often get by going out to these sites like Elance or Odesk.
Right.
And they will do anything. I mean, it's not just like programming. We do that too. But like, okay, every one of these images in the book of a product has had the background removed.
Right. That's a thing.
That's the thing. Photoshop. All right, so we had them done for 15 cents a piece, like in like a week.
No way.
Yes,
And I would just think about doing it myself.
I know.
Yeah.
Think about doing it
But
yourself.
that's a year's worth of work, probably.
Right, but for someone else in India or somebody, this is our job.
Well, and they do it fast.
They do it, and they're so good, and they keep track of it, and they're so professional. And so it's like, it's speed that you get distributed, and you get it fast, and you get professional work, and you're making people around the world happy because they've got a job. They've got work to do.
They're not solutions in search of problems.
No.
So on a more practical note, the holiday gift giving season is coming up, and I love.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I know it's jolly. Well, it's after Halloween, so that means it's time for Valentine's Day already.
I know. I think I saw people dressed as Christmas trees on Halloween.
Well, that might have been to SantaCon, so I don't know.
Very efficient.
Very efficient.
Yeah, you take off the costume, put it on the coat rack, and there's your tree.
It's a black Christmas tree, Black Friday, black.
But we love to give tools for Christmas for gifts.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we have not done that we've been promising for a very long time is to talk about like the essential toolkit for homes and for people. Like you talk about sending your kids off to college and wanting to give them a box of the tools that they would need.
Well, that's actually how this all began. I mean, besides the fact that I was editing and publishing the Whole Earth catalog, when the web came along, the catalog kind of died because the web was better. But I wanted to give one of those storage crates, those plastic storage crates that kind of have the folding top. I wanted to give a crate full of tools to my kids when they left. Tools that they probably may not encounter elsewhere, but also they would be the most general purpose tools. So it was like basically like what would be a really cool general purpose toolkit.
And you're thinking about stuff like household stuff, car stuff, fixing backpacks and stuff like that.
The most general purpose in the sense that, I'm imagining them as sort of, they have an art project, or they want to maintain or fix something, or they're renting a house somewhere and they have to fix it, or they're going to make something. And so you want the most, utilitarian, wide purpose set of tools. And, they know about a hammer, but they don't know about a forward action staple gun.
Right.
That is what you want to get. You want to get staple guns are so useful. You can use them all the time for all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And you want the forward action one because the way that staple works is that the leverage that you're putting is focused right on the point that is stapled. So the
normal staple gun, you're pulling back effectively from
so
where the staple
it pops
goes in.
up. But here you have the handle is actually going the other way, so you're leveraging down.
Are the forward actions the ones that like you hit with a hammer?
No. It's a hammer. This is
Imagine a staple gun with the handle reversed in a different direction.
Oh, so instead of squeezing, I get it. So you're squeezing in the back, you squeeze
I
in the
ran
front.
into trouble with one of the. I bought one of the first ones back in the 90s when it first came out. It was really awesome, and they're super powerful enough that I was on a commercial shoot, and we were on a big sound stage with 20-foot ceilings, and there were some helium balloons in the ceiling, and I found I could shoot the balloons out of the ceiling with the staple gun. So I thought this was a really cool trick, and there were some cute girls on set. So I was like, come here, check this out. And I held the staple gun up, and I fired, and nothing came out. And I couldn't figure out why. And then I realized it's because I had the staple gun backwards, and there was a staple up to its hilt in my pinky. Really up to its hilt. And of course, because there's some cute girls, I was like, oh. Okay. And I turned it around and I shot the balloon out, and then I went around and I said, I gotta go to the bathroom. And I went, oh. I had a numb spot on the top of my pinky for like 4 years.
Yeah, nerve regrowth is slow, it turns out.
So the idea is there are great tools like that you don't want to misuse them, but if you're going to fill the box of a crate with the stuff, let's get some really good, the best things that we can find that are going to be general purpose. So a staple gun to me is an essential part of any kit because you can use it for, I don't know, art projects.
But the lovely thing about the reverse one is that it solves a problem you didn't realize was a problem and is just the best. There is no better version of that device than that one. It is, that's it.
Right.
And it's great to have someone point you to that and say, I used one of these for 25 years and this one's better than all of those that I learned on.
Right. And that is the form of the best canonical cool tool review. I've used all staple guns for the past 20 years, and this is the one you want to buy. If you can say that, then that's you've sold it.
And surprisingly, those things don't change very often.
Yeah, in fact, it's very likely that something brand new is not going to be really, really classic because it takes 2 or 3 years for people to kind of see and compare it to other things that they had, and you know the novelty of a new tool wear off pretty quickly. So a lot of the tools in Cool Tools are older ones, the ones that are not brand new this year. In fact, I shied away from trying to review the latest camera even because cameras are on this exponential improvement.
They iterate so quickly.
Right. That whatever is the best this month is not going to be the best next month. But there are some camera stuff that let's take a tripod. They're not moving that fast, or other kind of gear that you might recommend. So
do you want to? You prepared a list?
I have a list of things that I was imagining putting into this crate, and I started to put the tools physically to put the tools in the crate, and I found out that oh my gosh, I filled it up so fast.
It gets heavy very quick.
It gets very heavy. And so I decided the book came about. It was like, okay, I'm going to put in just a few of the tools, and then I'll put the book in, and the book will point to all the rest. So this set is not going to fit into a crate, but this is a list of the kinds of things that again are maybe not as obvious as a hammer. Like another one is digital calipers.
Yep, digital calipers. Buying a pair of $25 digital calipers are a life-changing purchase.
You can now get a pair for $7 or $8.
Yeah, it's amazing,
and they're 99.99% as good. Don't get me wrong. I love my Minitorio and my Starrett calipers, and over the years as a machinist, I have learned the value of really good ones. But as an entry-level thing that allows you to measure the thickness of a human hair, for $7, you can get a great digital caliper.
Yeah, and the way for the listeners, this is kind of like a ruler, like a slide rule. There's two parts to it that slide along, and then there's a little readout that gives you the measurement of the width that you're trying to measure. So you squeeze the little what do you call it? The prongs, the two prongs. Yeah. And it will read the length inside or outside of what you're trying to measure. And so
you can do depth too.
And depth too.
Yeah.
And so this is like if you're building anything that's small and you want to measure it, a tape measure is not going to work. You use a digital caliper.
Or even if you want to know, like if you want to know how thick a picture frame is going to be off the wall or something like that, they're great for that.
Right. So there's tons and tons of uses for it. So imagine it's kind of like another smaller version of a tape measure, but you're measuring small things. So that's something that I would add to this box. Another one would be I don't even know how to say this because I only ever read it, but the Nipex?
Nipex nippers are the shizzle.
Right.
There are no better nippers than these.
Nippers are wires. Use a wire-traded wire tips.
Nipex makes a host of tools, and in general, if they make a tool, they make one of the best versions of that tool.
Right.
And they used to be about $60 for a set of the pressure pliers that would cut piano wire all day long and never dent. But now they make flush cutters and nippers. They make wire strippers. I just bought a pair of their wire strippers. They're cheaper than Greenlee's, cheaper than a couple of the others that I've spent like $100 on, and better.
Yeah. I also have the wrenches. They have a set of kind of like channel lock wrenches that adjust the mouth of it, and they're kind of just two levers handles, and they are indestructible. They're hefty. They're very precise. And
They're fully parallel.
They're fully parallel.
Yeah, perfectly parallel.
So this is, if you're going to have a set of wrenches, they're a little bit more spendy, but they are going to last you several generations.
Well, and in a pinch, you can use them in place of a pair of pliers or even like a box wrench or an adjustable crescent.
I think I have about 15 different Nipex tools in my collection, and they're just prized. And again, Nipex they've been getting cheaper.
Yeah, and so the difference in price is not that much. So that's a case where it's actually worth paying for a better. I have a kind of a shopping philosophy of kind of highest common denominator. So kind of like the level of Costco for a lot of stuff, I think is really perfectly good enough for most people.
Like for a socket set or something like that?
But for something like this, yeah, it's worth getting the best.
It's absolutely right. I couldn't agree more. It is one of those ones where the moment you try and cut something that can't be cut with your cheesy Ace Hardware cutters, and you dent them, they're effectively useless.
Right.
Although
they make good wire strippers then.
My very first pair of dikes was used by someone, not me, to cut through a wire that was live. And so there's a bzzzt, right through it, and it actually makes a fantastic wire stripper for lamp cords specifically.
So just for the visualization is that live wire cuts a little hole, a little semicircle on the edge of the blade, which is perfect for stripping a wire. Yeah. So another tool that I would put in this box is a metallic Sharpie, a Sharpie that does silver color. It's fantastic because lots of things you want to write on are already dark or black.
Yeah.
And you can't see it. But this thing is like writing white.
Bright as day.
And it's so fantastic. I use it all the time. And it's like, why don't everybody know about these things?
Not only that, if I have a prop and I want to make it look like it's old, you can paint it black and then use the silver Sharpie. Just draw along the edges of the black, and it'll look like it's worn down. I have aged so many things with the silver Sharpie.
Yeah. Okay, there's another use for it. So add that to the box. Another one is Croyle. I think I hear you say Croyle penetrating oil.
Oh, Croyle is great.
Right. So the idea of penetrating oil is not like lubricating oil. That's normally how you think about oil. You're going to add it to your bike chain or whatever it is, or gear or bearing. Penetrating oil is used to unloosen things. And the way this Croyle works is that it's particularly thin oil that almost like capillary action seeps into things. And so you put it on a bolt or anything that you want rusty that you want to get off, and you may actually need to leave it there for an hour or
I've soaked some stuff
days
in it overnight,
and then you can unloosen
it. Just pops right off.
Just comes off.
I will tell you, it is the only oil whose smell I can't stand. I love the smell of oils. Croyle, it just has, it's not actually, I won't say I can't stand it. It's just a little bit irritating to me. And that's surprising because I love 3-in-1.
3-in-1 smells great.
Fluid.
Yeah.
I love WD-40.
It has a sort of a wintergreen smell to me. But
yeah, it definitely does have that. I agree.
So it's actually a little hard to find. Most hardware stores don't sell it, but you can find it online. And it's a bit, there are other penetrating oils, but this one is particularly effective, and it's been around for like at least 100 years or something.
It's great.
Yeah. So another thing that I would add to this box is cutting mats, or even a magnetic cutting mat. So cutting mats are things that it's like a kind of a plastic mat that they call it self-healing. Is you can cut on it with a razor blade or an X-Acto knife, and it doesn't leave a groove in it like you would if cutting on a table or a piece of wood that then interrupts your cutting the next time.
I got a huge cutting mat for my work desk at home, and it was one of the best things I've ever bought.
Right.
It works as a coaster. I can cut stuff there. I solder on it. If it spills, I don't worry about destroying my tabletop.
I have dozens and dozens.
Right.
of them.
And then there's a version which you can get in small size, which is magnetic.
Really?
Yeah, I fix it and others sell it.
Yeah.
And so if you're doing little kind of taking off the little screws and things that are very easy to lose track
nice.
of, it just sticks to them.
Oh, that's great.
You know, years ago when I worked as a graphic designer in New York in the mid 80s, we used to buy something akin to the cutting board on a roll and cover our desks with it. And it was dimensional, probably about 1/16 of an inch thick. And I can't remember what we called it. Might have called it like Borco or something like that. I'll have to see if
It's on a roll, so you
find
can, when you
Yeah,
use
so
too much, you can just
basically
replace
about
it.
every 2 months, every 3 months,
wow.
you'd peel off the old one and put on the new
Okay.
one. It allowed you to cut all day long on
That's
your desk.
fantastic.
Yeah. So that's something that, again, it's a tool that will actually make, if you're doing a lot of cutting of anything, it's a great thing to have. And I think even small versions of it, which can fit into this crate, would be useful.
They make an 8.5 by 11
Yes.
one, and I've
Yeah.
got 20 of those.
Yeah.
It's fantastic also for working out of your house.
Right.
In your house, surfaces are at a premium, and you don't want to groove your kitchen
Yeah,
table,
right,
and
right.
the cutting boards are critical for that.
Yeah, I mean, buying a cutting mat before you start soldering on your dining room table will save your marriage. So
You have to do one
Marriage
step further
savers.
than buying it. You have to actually put it
you
on
have to
the-
use it. Yeah.
So another one I would add to this box are ball-in hex wrenches. So hex wrenches, or Allen wrenches, we sometimes call it. They're six-sided wrenches that are used for assembling IKEA furniture or adjusting parts on your bicycle. But there's a version that's called a ball end that has a little ball on the end of it, the end of it you sit in. And the reason why that's good is it allows you to come in at a slight angle.
The first time we encountered these was when we built the first MakerBot. They shipped one of those for the M3 bolts that they had, and it was a life-changing experience for me.
yeah.
Because I'd never encountered that before, and I was like, this is suddenly an infinitely more useful tool. Look, I can do it from an angle.
Right.
Ergonomics.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're going to get a set of Allen wrenches, get a set of ball end.
Yeah.
Do you like the T-top ones, or do you have a preference?
I have them both, but
I particularly am fond of the Bondhus, Bondhus. There's over there in 2 stacks, the red and the yellow. I really like. I've never found their limit, and they don't strip out. You buy cheapy Allen wrenches, and the small ones at least will start to soften around their corners. And there's nothing worse than stripping out your Allen wrench when you're trying to undo a little tiny screw.
So the brand that you like is called what?
Bondhus.
Banhus. Yeah.
I think they're French.
So another one that I am that I would certainly put in this one is a 25-foot wide tape measure, the kind that rolls up, your standard tape measure. And the idea here is get a 25-foot one because they're not much.
It's not much
heavier.
bigger than a 12-foot.
And it's so much more useful.
But you can measure a room with a 25-foot.
Right.
You can't really with a 12-foot.
And
a
the
lot of times.
newest kind of these tape measures, if you haven't seen one, even the fat ones are they allow you to kind of extend it so you can actually hold it out.
Oh, yeah.
Almost 10 feet or more. It's
That's
amazing.
a contest. We do that in Industrial Light and Magic. That used to be a contest as to
fishing.
these high ceilings on the stages. How far can you get to 20 feet?
Right.
And you're balancing, and then the whole
And then
thing.
Right. So it is worth looking at some of the newest one of these. And actually, I have a favorite that actually shows the markings show the feet and the inches together for each marking. In other words, they don't just.
Oh, so it says 6 feet 4 inches
Yeah,
instead
right,
of just 4 inches, and then you have to go back. That's good.
So it's like, why not? I mean, you're printing it. It doesn't cost any more to print that. So why not show all the markings?
So you have the calipers for small measurements less than a foot, and the tape measure for stuff that's a foot or bigger. That's great.
Another one is screwdrivers. If you're going to have a screwdriver, have a ratcheting screwdriver. It's like,
I have to talk about this. 'Cause
Okay.
My favorite screwdriver in the world, like my 99% of the time screwdriver, is the cheap forehead, big Phillips, small Phillips, big flat, small flat from Ace.
Okay.
You know, you flip the handle around, pop it out, it goes
You
back
know,
in.
when you pull the bits out, it's perfect for hose clamps.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like
Nut
a
driver.
Yeah. Like that is the only times I go for other screwdrivers are when I need to get something that barrel is too fat to get down into, or like I don't find that I end up having to screw that much.
Right, and that's because you probably have a cordless drill.
I do have a cordless
And
driver.
that is probably these days the most essential tool there is. And you can use them for everything. You can make them go slow. You can make them go fast. You can drill. You can screw. But the thing these days that I'm noticing is that when you buy this, you probably want to make some research about which brand you're going to commit to, because everything else is going cordless. Your
You
saws,
got to buy a system.
so you're buying a system. You're buying a system, and eventually, very soon, the entire workshop tools are all going to be cordless, and because of the improvements in battery. And so you want to kind of understand that you might as well decide kind of, you're going Nikon or Canon, kind of,
Right. Because you're going to buy a bunch of
because you're going to buy a
lenses
bunch of them. You're going to have more than one battery, and it's a modular system. It'll fit into the Sawzall,
There are also companies with multiple battery types
Yes.
and most companies have like a low end 12 volt, a high end
Right.
18 or 24. And then I particularly like DeWalt because they go backwards compatible on the battery. So you can buy a brand new lithium ion battery that will fit my old 18 volt.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting.
I'm with DeWalt too for that same reason, and it's hard to kind of make that's one place where things are changing so fast. It's kind of hard to make a recommendation. Is it 18
because
volts?
there's-
Is it 24? Because they're improving it daily.
My shop assistants were like, "Oh, we got this new system that's even much better." It's like, well, I'm committed right now.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention with the tape measure. Do you? I was just making a recommendation last night for a 12-year-old's birthday, and I was suggesting a toolkit. And I wasn't even thinking that we were going to do this morning, but I was making what tools a 12-year-old should have, and I included a cloth tape. It's
like a tailor uses.
like a tailor's tape, and
That's fantastic. I'll add that right
it
now.
is one of those things that no one acknowledges or realizes how useful it can be. When you want to measure the circumference of something,
Yes.
a 25-foot tape measure is pointless.
Yeah. Well, you know the size of your head for helmets.
Right. No, and it takes up
Yes.
so little room.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
No, go ahead. Sorry. I was just going to say on the drill, chuckless, variable
chucking.
speed, keyless chuck, variable speed, and variable torque probably are the three things you want to look for.
Right.
And
most of the
these
models
days,
have
everything's
that.
going
That is pretty standard.
You have to get
pretty standard.
real cheap, I think, to get.
You don't want to go real
Don't
cheap.
cheap out on those, and they're relatively. I mean, $80 will get you just a fabulous thing.
Yeah.
And it'll last forever or 10 years.
Yeah.
I find now that I own probably 10 batteries on the DeWalt thing, I find I get about a failure a year of a battery that just.
Well, you can get new batteries and then.
Yeah.
At least one charger. Yeah.
I'm a big believer in having lots of batteries. I mean, one of the other things, I don't know if I put it on here, but the Eneloop rechargeable battery you want in bulk. The whole thing about rechargeable batteries, for it to work in your household, is that you can't have any of the unrechargeable batteries. You have to go kind of all rechargeable.
All or nothing.
Well, because otherwise you always will grab this. So the whole idea is to always have rechargeables charged. And so to do that, you probably need to have like 50 or 60 of them in our household anyway.
Yeah.
And so I have a whole box of them ready to go so you can always reach and get them.
Well, so the thing I did when I switched over was every time I replaced batteries, I replaced them with Eneloops for a year. And at the end of that year, I don't think there's any non-rechargeable batteries left in the house.
To do that. It's just time.
But the way to do it again is get 100 of them.
Right. Okay.
And then keep them in charge. And then you always can reach for when it's ready to go.
I came up with a need for C batteries recently.
You can get an Eneloop
I haven't
adapter.
seen a C battery in ages.
Because it's the same voltage. It's just a different size.
Yeah,
So
no,
all you have is this little adapter that you put in.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You can have plastic.
You strip off a C battery.
Yeah.
Crazy.
You just slip the double A
way.
into this holder.
Wow.
Well, and they make and because
Amazing.
they're rechargeables, they make different densities.
Right,
So you
right.
can get crazy high density Eneloops that have a really low charge cycle, so they only do like 500 charges instead of 2,000. I'm a huge fan of the Eneloops.
It's a good ratio.
And they hold charge for a long time.
Yeah,
Sorry,
they're pretty good.
A good ratio between batteries and chargers.
Oh, I have a 4-port charger, and then I have a million batteries, and that seems to be plenty.
Right. Yeah.
The trick is to have a bucket next to the charger that's the uncharged,
Right.
and just whenever you think about it, just switch them over.
Right. So another one I would put into this box is a Stanley organizer tray. This is the cheap, the affordable version of the Sortimo that Adam is a big fan of. I have stacks and stacks of these, and the way that they're different from a normal, it's a plastic organizing tray, but the way that they're different is that the interior divisions are themselves little trays that you can take out or move around, and they come in different sizes, and so you can kind of adapt or modify the layout of the compartments to what it is that you're storing, and then you can take them out to work on a workshop. You can remove those, and they operate very similar to the Sortimo, but they are like 1/10 the cost.
Yeah, well, and when you search for Sortimo on Amazon, that's what comes up. They've bought that search term, I think.
And then if you have a lot of stuff, you can stack these trays. And they have handles. You can and they won't. If you overturn them and it's closed, nothing shifts around. They're just indispensable for organizing small parts and small stuff.
One of the things my mom gave me when I bought a house was, she basically went out and bought a box that was similar to that. It's not the same thing, but it's a vertical box with a bunch of trays. The box isn't great. The thing that's in it is awesome. She went to the hardware store and went and got a bunch of sheetrock nails, sheetrock screws, different size nails, and just assorted fastening hardware for everything from like hanging pictures to bolting things to other things, and even some great big lag bolts to hang stuff in the garage, and put it all in a box and said, look, this isn't all going to be perfect for when you're going to need stuff, but this is the stuff that we use the most at home and have for the last 20 years, and it is proven to be incredibly useful.
Right. Now that's a whole different challenge, which would be really cool.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to give a 12-year-old a box, what would you put in the sorting box?
It's a wonderful exercise.
Yeah, right.
Just thinking different types of people. The college student is definitely one. 12-year-old, your mom.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So another something I would put on this indispensable crate would be silicone tape, and it comes in different names, but this is the tape that it's kind of stretchy. So when you're wrapping something, it's actually self-gripping,
like compressing.
Yes, and it grips upon itself too. So it's like if you're doing like a repair on a hose or something, you use this kind of tape, and it's not sticky it's not adhesive. It's actually sticking to itself. And as you wind it up, it actually compresses. So it's very, very tight.
So it's almost like lashing something with rope, but tape, and it'll seal?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
It'll seal.
Wow. It's kind of like electrical tape, right? But not...
Yeah, but there's no adhesive.
No adhesive, okay.
Right. And so it's really big in the marine community and stuff because it's silicone, so it lasts a long time, it's impervious to salt water, and that adhesive isn't being affected by the by the
I'll have to
salt
guess
water.
with that. I want to try that out.
Yeah.
Another one is cordless Dremel. We all know Dremels. Now that they're cordless, it's like why would you buy one that wasn't?
I have an issue with this one.
Okay.
I just had my second cordless Dremel in 2 years crap out on me.
Okay, well there.
And I always have a corded one.
Right.
And I've been a Dremel user for 30 years, and it's just a totally indispensable model-making tool with all the different bits and saws and sanders and flap sanders. It's just gotten better and better and better. And now they have real cordless Dremels with genuine good batteries. The old ones, the first iteration was not that good. But I'm a moderate user. I mean, when I use it, but I'm a moderate user, and I've had 2 failures in the last
Is it the battery failing
Yeah.
or the motor failing?
The motor failed.
Ah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a quality. I mean, conceptually, that's just something that they should fix. I mean,
I agree. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I should just send this one to them. Oh, I think I threw it out.
Yeah. So
They'll hear about it, I'm sure.
another one I like is an auto centering punch. This is a very small hand tool. Center punch is something that you use to make a little dent in, say, metal or something to show you where to drill a hole or to begin something.
Helps guide the drill.
But the way you would normally use a center punch, which is kind of a dumb one, is you'd have to tap it with a hammer or something, and as soon as you do, it moves. But the auto centering punch has a little spring in it, so that when you press down right on that spot, it's kind of cocking the punch, and then it
Okay, so just the act of pushing it against the surface makes it pop back and make the dent.
Exactly. It's really ingenious.
It's also phenomenal for shattering car windows.
Yes.
That's what we use.
Yeah, we use shattered car windows with the exact same thing.
I would love a recommendation for a never fail brand of those, because I've been using those for 20 years, but I find that the springs wear out, and then occasionally they stop working. Okay. And I've had that happen with all of them that I've had over the years.
Wow. Yeah. Well, see, I'm not a power user.
Yeah, I abuse my things.
Unibits.
Unibits!
Unibits are stepped drill bits. So it's a drill bit that is more than one diameter. It's kind of like a little inverted pyramid where they're
Are these the ones you use to
stacked
cut acrylic?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That's it.
Right. And so it allows you it does many things, but basically you kind of like get 5 or 6 different drill diameters in one bit. Of course, you can't
go all the way through.
You can't go all the way through. It doesn't far. It's just fantastic for like milling, drilling plastic or sheet.
So one shatter.
Well, that's the thing is there are drill
wood.
bits specifically made for acrylic and for shattering plastics, and they usually have a very steep angled tip. And I have, in a pinch, actually ground my own drills to become plexi bits, but those bits are expensive. Unibits will drill 16th inch acrylic without shattering it. A normal drill bit, as it's going through, it's got 2 cutting edges that are both moving material out of the cut, but they also will drag the drill into the cut. And in acrylic, when it does that, it just shatters.
Yeah.
And a normal drill bit in acrylic is a nightmare. Unibits, it's basically a scrape. And it doesn't have a long spiral, so it cuts through sheet material so beautifully. When I discovered the Unibits, it changed my life.
It's almost, when you watch it, you almost make a curl of the acrylic off to the side.
So shaving it off
rather
than cutting it, I guess is the word. I put in my box a little tiny pry bar. It's kind of has like a little claw at one end, and it has a kind of a wedge at the other. And you use it all the time. It's for taking out old nails. It's for prying things. It's leverage. It's a small.
It's a simple tool.
Simple tool.
Yeah.
Right. It's a lever. And then I think you cannot have too many zip ties.
No, zip ties are wonderful.
Of every size.
One of the cool tool recommenders recommends a particular brand as infallible because it has a little kind of stainless steel grip on it instead of the plastic one. So if you really if you're really professionally using it, like you're doing a lot of wiring and you don't want the things to fail, you can buy a higher quality one. But zip ties are
fantastic. Along with zip ties, I'm going to suggest the little Ziploc baggies, glassine bags.
Right.
Tap Plastics sells them in every size imaginable, and having that for a project, you're working on a project. It's dinner time. You got to put it away, and you can put the little tiny screws that you've got in these bags and label them. I do it constantly to store projects.
That's a great idea. Yeah, can't have too many plastic bags.
No.
Well, and you can see what's in them too.
I actually almost never throw out Ziploc bags. I have a whole shelf just for Ziplocs, new, old, covered with them. I remember we just got some costumes with Ziploc bags that were like 36.
That's what I'm saying.
36.
The big ones are you can get this.
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea.
You can get really huge.
Well, and they're big, thick plastic too. You can put whatever. You can put a body in there if you want.
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
Not that I'm suggesting that.
That's the first thing you thought of.
Yeah. Nothing's going to leak
We call
out.
it the Gambino.
Yeah.
So something else I would throw into this box is a magnetic stud finder. So this is a little tiny thing with basically a couple super magnets in a handheld device, and what you do is you're finding the nails in the stud, which will allow you to tell you where the stud is. Right. So it's actually, in my experience, far more reliable
Yes.
than these. I don't know
The ultrasonic ones?
Well, also, if you have aluminum, oh no, they won't find the aluminum studs.
right.
Right.
Yeah, we use it in our office.
It's much easier than this.
This does not work.
I can do that.
No,
It doesn't work
no,
for me.
No.
Well, and also it's the 6 holes in a row.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
That works.
I'll tell you the
this
secret
one.
is to just never put anything anywhere but above an outlet. So look for the wall gang plate, and it's either going to be the left or the right, and then go up. It's done. Easy.
get really good at patching.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Try the magnetic stud finder because it actually is pretty good. Another one I like is another old tool that's been around. It's a hand tool. It's very simple. It's just an offset screwdriver. So it's a screwdriver that instead of just having a vertical shaft, it actually has a 290-degree bends. It's like a little
Really?
Kind of do one of these numbers.
Yeah. So if you can get the screwdriver in if there's no clearance to get one coming in.
Wow, I didn't even know about this.
Yeah, it's like simple. It's like $1 or something, and it's been around forever.
They usually come in a set of
and they
three.
have Phillips or standard, and so you can screw a screw that's hidden in some way.
The other nice thing about those is because essentially, the screwdriver is a wheel and an axle. So because the 90-degree offset makes the outside of the wheel a lot bigger, you can put a ton of torque on the screw if you have something that's stuck with those.
Right. Tweezers.
Good tweezers are life changing.
Tweezer man. Tweezers are what you want.
They are totally.
These are like watchmakers tweezers, right? The
you can
fine,
get them
super
at
fine
any
point.
beauty store.
They're
Really?
Yep.
Yeah. They're and they have a little bit of a grip at the end, and they're very, very sharp. I mean that they're very, very fine. So you can pick up things with great precision.
You can pull out the smallest splinters with
as
the
well.
Tweezer man tweezer.
Right.
So beauty stores, I just want to make a case. I love going into stores where I think there's nothing there for me and finding stuff for me. And
Right.
beauty stores are great for tweezers and for sanding sticks.
Emery boards.
Emery boards.
I also bought. You can get concentrated hydrogen peroxide.
Yes.
Which is
really?
actually very useful if you like to keep skulls. Because with skulls and bones, you don't want to use bleach
Okay.
to bleach them. You want to use concentrated hydrogen peroxide
Okay.
because it doesn't. The chlorine and bleach will actually start to soften the bone, but the hydrogen peroxide doesn't. So if you're doing kind of taxidermy stuff with bones and
How
skulls,
concentrated is the hydrogen peroxide? Is it like rocket fuel hydrogen
no, it's
peroxide?
like
Okay.
38% or something.
And the standard stuff you buy is like
1 or 2 or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beauty stores.
Beauty stores. Who knew?
Yep. You can also buy Paris Hilton hair extensions.
Well, I know you've been using those for years. Adam. I liked it so much I bought the company.
You think Jamie's mustache is real?
Oh, we've taken a real weird Matrix turn here.
I like vice grips. The classic vice grip is to me what should be in your box, and there's a variety of them. So I like to put in ones that look like that have like I have one that has a parallel flat.
Yeah.
They're like channel locks almost, but
No, they're like two plates.
okay.
Those are so amazing.
It's like
I've
having
used
two
them for
plates in a
metal
vice
bending.
grip, so you can actually lock this thing in. It becomes like a real vice at that point.
Yeah, so they come down.
It's
Okay.
like imagine two plates the size of I don't know, a cracker that are attached to the jar.
So you just put a lot of friction on a surface,
right,
and
exactly right.
Vice grips are amazing.
so my father always used to say that the easiest way to destroy a piece of farm equipment is to give a farmhand some vice grips.
Well, no, you're reminding me that there was this great list that made its way around the web a couple of years ago of tools and. Just to give you the example, they showed a crescent wrench and said, "This is great for softening the edges of a bolt." And then they showed vice grips. This is perfect for making sure the bolt is useless. Because if you don't get it torqued enough, the vice grip can absolutely ruin your day.
One time we had a tractor that the steering wheel came off of, and my father just took the vice grips, clamped them onto the thing, and was like.
I have driven many vehicles with vice grips over the years.
I think it's a perfectly valid use of the tool.
Oh,
They're and neat. They make big ones. They make little tiny
ones.
beautiful vice grips, needle nose vice grips. One of my favorite things.
You can round out anything with the pair of needle nose vice grips.
So for those that haven't seen a vice grip, it's like a pair of pliers, but there's the jaw on one side is adjustable with a screw, so you can actually adjust it, and then it is locked.
It's got a little cam lock.
It has a little lock with a lever, so that once you get very close to the closing of the jaws, it locks.
It
locks into at that position. So if you can adjust the tension on this vice grip so that when it does close onto whatever you're gripping, it won't come off. And that's why it can be abused, is because you can just strip something,
or you can dent it or mar it.
you can dent it or mar it. So it can easily be abused, but it is a very handy thing. I mean, you can use it for other things other than tightening bolts.
Yes.
And that's the whole point, is that you can grip a table, you can grip all kinds of things with one.
There's another use that it has, which I use all the time, which is if you're grinding something small and metal, it's going to get hot really quickly, and you're going to have to be cooling it down constantly. But you can clamp it to a vice grip and grind all day long. It's great for holding on to small parts while you're filing and shaping them.
Right. Last one is LED flashlights have they're on another one of these curves of changing really, really fast. And
what are you using now?
I have this Tim Jennison of Tim's Vermeer. If you've seen that movie about the guy, this is a pocketable. It's in the change pocket.
That is much smaller than
it's pretty bright. It's not a photon.
Yeah.
It's much brighter than.
Does he use like a CR123 or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that fits in your coin pocket. So
that's lovely.
You don't need to have one this small. I like the ones that use one AA.
That's my favorite size.
That because batteries are easy to find, and you can have multiple ones of them. But LED technology keeps changing and improving really, really fast, and they're so handy. I mean, I have them everywhere.
I have to say, I love a good headlamp. Like a headlamp is a.
I'm a recent convert to headlamp.
Yeah, the headlamp is essentially a third arm
Right,
when you're working on stuff, whether it's camping or even like working on digging around under my desk to find a cable or building a PC or whatever. Having that ability to aim that light without doing the weird shoulder thing, and having both hands free still is really good.
And you use kind of like a camping style headlamp?
Yes.
The Princeton types? Or
So the one that I'm using right now is one that Wirecutter recommended. That's the Black Diamond.
Okay.
It's one. They have three. I can't remember which one that they recommended, but I think the one that they recommended was black, and it's basically water resistant.
Okay.
Has dimmable. The reason I bought that one, it was a little bit more expensive, is because the red light is actually bright enough to use when I'm camping.
Okay.
So like normally on the lower end models, it's a four battery AAA light, I think. And the red light was bright enough that I could see in the dark when I was walking, not just when I was like sitting at camp looking at my hands.
Okay, great. So you can use it for camping as well.
Can use it for camping.
Yeah, dual purpose.
And I find that the one set of batteries, I usually take an extra set of batteries. I've never had to use them for 2-3 day trips.
Right.
Boy. I just wanted to show you. I'm always pleased when I can show an example of the absolute limit of a technology. So this is an internal Google project. That is, they developed it, and it's an incredibly. I'm not going to turn it on while I point it, but it's four cluster.
So there's 16
high watt LEDs. It runs on these big lithium-ion batteries.
What do they call it?
They call it the fire sword.
Because you can probably see the light beam.
Here, I'm going to start shining into my hand for a second.
Oh my God. It's like a photo flash.
Yeah, it is. Apparently, during the blackout in New York, they had some Google employees at blacked out intersections using this to light for traffic. And this is genuinely a heat sink.
Yeah.
Because it
At
gets
full
that hot.
power, this will only
Even
run
the
for about 10
LED
minutes.
is getting hot.
Even the LED is getting hot because it's so much.
So can you
water.
shine over there just so we can? Wow.
Oh yeah.
I accidentally blasted in my face one time, and I saw spots for a good 4 hours.
Oh, yeah.
So
Wow.
highly
The
discouraged
fire
that.
sword.
Yeah.
This is not in your general. This is not in your general purpose. Great.
No.
Something else that isn't but it's a really cool tool is a green laser, and it's an astronomy tool.
Yeah.
because you can actually seemingly touch a particular
Well,
star.
it reflects enough of the dust and water
Right,
vapor and
right.
stuff in the air that you can.
And let's
that you
be
can
clear,
see it being-
don't get it anywhere near any flying
yeah,
vehicles.
don't
They will
point it.
find you, and they
Right.
have a really good method for finding
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Don't point at anything other than stars.
Yeah.
And I found the best source for these to be like in China and places because you can get 50 milliwatts instead of the legal 5.
So 10x, 10x more.
10x. And it really makes a difference.
It's pretty crazy.
It's pretty crazy, and they're very effective for astronomy. So going back to, I have a couple more, and there's ever more, but
You have a whole book.
I have a whole book of these, and it's sort of like, well, have we reached the limit of what's kind of general purpose? Yeah, I mean, I would throw in a aluminum speed square, which is a aluminum triangle that you use for kind of contractor work. It's like a right angle. It's for, but you can get little small ones, and they're often good enough for what you want.
Well,
to
and
do.
you can get those with a level built in too,
Yes, that's
which
right.
means that if you're hanging pictures or whatever, everybody needs the level for
Speed
hanging
squares,
pictures.
it's funny. I have a whole drawer full of rulers of about 18 inches or less and squares, and that speed square ends up becoming. I actually wish someone would design one a little more precise, a little tighter, because the speed square is meant for building stairs.
Yeah, right, for kind of lumber
Contractor work.
framing
Yeah.
work. Yeah,
So it's very, very perfect for that application.
but you would like to have a kind of a precise,
Well, it's
precision
just a
version.
little more precise.
Yeah.
But again, it comes out of that drawer more than almost any other
Yeah,
square.
yeah. So there's lots of things we could add. One of the things I didn't add, which Will, you reminded me, which is security bit set. So security means that a lot of your electronic devices these days have screws that have a head that are not your standard slot or Phillips
Or
head
Allen,
or
or,
Allen.
yeah.
The
There's something
Portillos
else
and
to actually prevent you from unscrewing it. And
To prevent most people.
for most
Yes.
people. So all you need is a different tip for your set. But some of those securities are kind of standard. And so you can actually get a set that covers most of the kind of screws that you would encounter, like, say, opening up a Mac or something like that.
iFixit sells, I think, the
iFixit
best
has the
one.
best
It's
set.
50, 54, 58 or something security bits.
I
And
have that one.
Everything in there has
Right,
opened
right,
everything.
right.
You know, when you're in an elevator and it's the two holes in the screw.
They have that.
I have those.
I
Yeah.
should take that and see
No,
what's behind those plates.
I was most impressed when. No, these are hex. When the first Leatherman Wave came out, or maybe it was the Leatherman Charge, they put it together with 5-lobed torque spits. And when I went looking into it, I found out that it was the newest thing. It had a pin in the center, and it was called a pentalobe. And now they're all over Macs and everything.
Right.
But back then, you could only buy them if you were an OEM
Oh, really? They wouldn't
manufacturer. Yeah, you everyone was serial numbered. That's how serious. I mean, everybody tries this, and it works for a while,
Right.
and then it doesn't work anymore.
Right. Somebody in China gets
And
the factory.
what's really funny is that I went over to that Ace Hardware on 4th and Mission. I was Fox Hardware. I went over there to get one of these. I figured I didn't realize it was a super rare thing. I knew it was a tamper-proof torque spit, but I didn't realize it was 5 lobes. So I'm looking through their drawers, and it was a T8 where I needed a T10. Amazingly, in the drawer of torque spits, I found a 5-lobe T8. And I was like, well, I don't need that one. I need the T10.
Was it just a defect?
Yeah, not a defect. It was just they had accidentally
Oh,
put
I
it in
see.
this
Okay.
drawer
Oh,
at Fox,
wow.
and I let it go.
It's the one that got away.
Well, when I visited the Leatherman factory, they gave me a few.
Oh, that's nice.
Is that still? It's not the case now, right?
No.
you can get those.
Yeah,
They're
I believe
easy to
you can
get
those now.
Yeah. The iFixit guys had that when they started sealing the iPhone 4, 4S or something with those. The iFixit guys were like, we got this. It's done. 3 weeks later, you could open it up.
Yeah.
But it is. But having even a quality set of small micro screwdrivers and bits is actually an essential part of this thing because anything
Yeah.
modern gadget today has very tiny screws, and you need to be able to
Eyeglasses, too, Kevin.
eyeglasses.
I particularly like the Wehas.
Wehas, exactly.
Wehas. They're black with a red back end, and the back end spins, which is actually really nice because you can keep pressure with one
Right.
finger and turn with the other two, or turn. It's ideal.
It's great.
Yeah, those are really those are cool tools. So, do you want to keep going?
I think we're good. I think we've
fantastic.
Absolutely.
Oh my
I think
God.
this is a wonderful list. And I mean, as always, we'd love to hear suggestions from you guys for stuff that we've
Yeah.
forgotten.
Oh, yeah,
Obviously,
totally.
we left out stuff like hammers are hammers at a certain level.
Well, every tool can be a hammer.
Every tool can be a hammer. But there are other things like scissors. You need a really good, like a Ginger scissors for fabric that you use only for fabric.
That's it. I would recommend having 2 pairs of scissors. One that's labeled, I label mine fabric or dye, and then scissors for everything else.
Yeah.
I have actually tied a red string, a red yarn around the handle of the fabric scissors.
Nothing is worse for fabric scissors than cutting paper.
I love a good pair of kitchen shears, but that's a completely different conversation.
Exactly. So there are other things we can add to this, but I would love actually to hear other people's versions of what this essential cool tool kit would look like.
and this is still available, right?
It is available, and
This is literally dozens of hours of oogling and drooling and making plans to purchase, and actually, it's one of the ultimate bathroom books I've ever seen.
When we talked the other day about you coming on, Kevin, I walked over to the shelf, grabbed my copy, and I sat down, and then I looked up and was like, wow, that was an hour.
Yeah.
So
because there's lots of stuff in there. I mean, one of the things is like I have this new rule about buying stuff called manual first. In the old days, when you bought a device or appliance or anything or tool, it would come with the manual, and that would be the first time you could see the manual. And then you would often find out that, well, this doesn't actually do what I thought it would do. Or this is the wrong dimension. But now, with the internet and the web, most manuals are online. So I always go to the manual first to double-check, confirm
That's fantastic.
that this is the actual size, that this is the right voltage or whatever it is. You can actually look at everything.
They have to. They have to list it.
And then you're not surprised. And so it's always, I'll look at whatever I'm going to buy, camera, stereo, whatever it is, I'm going to get the manual first, look at the manual first to double check to make sure that this is what I want.
God, AV equipment, it's the essential.
Yeah, totally.
Even my plumber came to my house. He was working on some kind of fancy faucet. He was on his iPad looking at the manual.
Oh, that's great.
It's where specs are enough.
Yeah, exactly. So those are the kinds of things I cover in Cool Tools, the book. I have a little bit more of kind of buying strategy, how you deal with warranties. Are extended warranties of any use? No, they're worthless except for refrigerators and
stuff you don't want to have to move.
refrigerators, things that have a high breakage rate. And
Like
the-
washers and dryers and stuff like that?
Not
Or
even
really?
that. There's a couple other things like some kind of lawnmowers. Consumer Reports did a great survey of which things actually where the extended warranty makes sense. Most of the time, it doesn't at all. It's just a waste of
I actually
money.
did the math on AppleCare. I tallied up the cost of all my laptops and the ones that had failed, and I'm ahead.
Yeah.
By
Laptops,
never purchasing
purchasing
AppleCare.
laptops, phones. I buy AppleCare because I drop.
Really?
And I don't buy cases, so I buy the AppleCare instead of a case. So, you know.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is a book on Amazon. It's a
wonderful.
great gift. It's particularly aimed for young people in college, trying to open up to them the idea that, hey, with a small set of tools, you can do almost anything.
My wife, who's not a maker, she's very facile. She's a wonderful cook, but she doesn't make things in general. This was on our table right after I got the first review copy, and she was like, "This is the greatest book ever!"
Yeah, it's
A lot of cross appeal.
yeah, right. So it's and it's all how to. Again, it's how to design something.
How to install a composting toilet?
Yeah,
Exactly, or whether you need a composting toilet,
Yeah.
or actually, if you need a low flush toilet that really does flush, I have one to recommend.
This is wonderful.
That is a great. We've gone
Yes.
all the way to the toilet.
all full
Finally
circle.
made it.
That's perfect.
Thank you so much for coming by, Kevin.
It was
Thanks,
my
Kevin.
pleasure.
What's the
Great to meet you.
website? It's the book's on Amazon.
The website is, I think, is cool-tools.
Okay,
But if you Google Cool Tools, you'll find it.
it'll pop right up. And we'll be back next week with another episode of Still Untitled. As always, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you later.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Right.